there's always been a perception about street racers, meaning we're in and out, and we vanish out of nowhere. So I was born and raised in the Valley. I'm the youngest of 5. Grew up in a really strict household. My dad was always at work, always there. And I guess that's why you could say I was born on a gas station. I was raised on a gas station because, he was always there, so I was always there. And there's a really big gap between me and my brother, so, it's like I was always in the cars because of him, basically. I was learning how to do oil changes when I was barely old enough to hold a wrench, But yeah, I guess that's it.
And now, it's finally here, the Valley Private episode. Not even a month into this podcast journey, and it's time to celebrate the protagonist who chases a race. Some called him the Kardashian of street racing, and there are many reasons to see such a title fitting Valley Private's persona. Whether it is meant with spite or as a term of endearment, there is a little doubt that Valley Private is a polarizing figure. And yet, none of this would have been possible without him. So to me, Valley Private is an excellent subject and undoubtedly a loyal friend. But to others out there, to opposite teams, he is
a hustler. Most of the races he negotiated, they tended to win because they got more space than needed. And some people would say he was, hard-headed, asking for space, or annoying, asking for space and being persistent about it, to eventually the person gave in and agreed to that race. So negotiating against him probably wasn't fun for them.
So I'm pretty sure he won't be pleased that once he finds out that we are doing a podcast without him. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be happy.
It's always a complicated relationship between a filmmaker and a subject, a game of balance. In the beginning, the suitor is definitely the filmmaker. The subject needs to be serenaded and convinced of a filmmaker's proposal. But as time goes by, the balance tips, and it's in the interest of a subject to be portrayed well. Towards the end, the filmmaker will want to conclude the experience. Maybe he has a good movie, almost never the one he envisioned on paper, but it would be almost irrelevant if a protagonist comes out as a good, the bad, or the ugly. What counts to a filmmaker is the arc of a story. But here it is, Valley Private in his own words 4 years ago.
In the Valley, in LA in general, the 1320 scene has definitely been misconstrued. You'll have clubs and teams and whoever with 1320 in their name when, they don't even street race, or they do donuts, or, they burn out and just meet up in parking lots and they're calling it 1320. So I feel like for a lot of people it's becoming a mindset. But for us it's just purely street racing. That's all it is. We don't look at it any other way. That's what it means and that's what it is to us.
So tell me about your story.
My story? When I came into this, I was still, I guess you could say, really fresh to the racing scene. Not new, but I was still pretty fresh to it. I had a different understanding at the time of what street racing was, and I looked at it a lot different. I basically ran meets on social media that kind of got out of hand and a lot bigger than we anticipated it to become. And it was at a time where it was a sensitive subject for law enforcement due to the fact that a few deaths have happened in that year, and the countless number of, you could say, car accidents and citations and all that. I was basically the product of what they had said was a 2-month-long investigation, to where they had people come undercover in plain clothes and just openly investigate, taking pictures and videos, and being get an open invite on social media at the time, we didn't know any better. We had no idea who the undercover cops were, just because they were in plain clothes and talking to us like they're regular people. Everyone's out there with their phones out already. How do we know who the cops taking pictures are? They ended up picking me up one night at the meets when they had my girlfriend's car. I was in my girlfriend's car at the time, and they had her car on file. So when they'd seen the car, they pulled us over, and I was arrested on the spot. And basically, I was looking at a lot of jail time, but I had an amazing lawyer, and I ended up just getting community service, paying a bunch of fines, and the worst part of it all is losing my license and not being able to drive for a year. It's safe to say that the repercussions were a lot worse than I thought they were going to be. To me, I didn't feel like we were doing anything wrong. I felt like we were a bunch of friends having some fun. So when it came down to it being in court, I wasn't as nervous as I should have been. But the judge had explained to me that due to the times that we were in, that they were definitely taking this a lot more serious than they normally would. So I definitely underestimated the repercussions of what was going to happen. That's for sure.
Do you have that feeling that a lot of people underestimate what they're doing? They play with fire and they don't know they can get burned.
If you get caught, there's some serious consequences, if you go to court and stuff. But they don't really see it that way. They see it like, I'm just going to go race this guy. They don't, in the back of their mind, they're still like, okay, I'm going to go race and be home tonight and be back home to my kids, my wife, whatever it is. They don't really stop and put too much thought into the fact that, hey, you might go to jail tonight. People get arrested, but 95 out of 100 races, people are going home, or 99 out of 100 races, people are going home.
I remember what you said on the first podcast, and you said, like, when you saw me going around, I looked like a tourist and I sounded different. And you said, in our community, different is not good. Or you said something like that. I'm paraphrasing, not quoting.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it possible that police, was able to get people undercover? Do you think actually they were snitches, or literally just old people like me lurking about with notebooks? I don't know. How is it possible?
For his situation, it wasn't at a private race. It was more of a car meet he was hosting. So what he would do is he would go on Instagram, make a flyer, say, hey, meet up tonight, such and such parking lot, 10 p.m. We would gather there for 2 hours or so. Then he would say, all right, let's go. He'll call the crowd together. And then he would give instructions, go to this street. And this was a race meet. So you would have, 50, 60 cars lining up to race back to back to back. It wasn't like a private race. So since this information was public, obviously the cops are on Instagram. It wasn't a private kind of thing where, it was text messages only. He was publicly posting the addresses. So it was pretty easy to infiltrate.
Well, I mean, you could have just described the youngster meets. Like, if this sentence was out of context, you could have just talked about the youngster meets, really.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. But I think from what I remember, the youngster meets, he would post like DM for address, and then you would get the address of the meetup spot.
My theory about the youngster meets is pure speculation, but I think the police knew how to crack it down, but decided that the phenomenon was too big and that it was convenient to know where these kids were, as opposed to being too tough on them and then, as Stan said, like, chase them off the street. They're not going to go away. They just go to another spot. And so it was interesting for me to hear how things started even in the valley for your generation, because when I met you, things were already very secretive and professional, if you like.
Yeah, well, that's because, he had got caught. So before him, it was actually me running the meets, and same thing. I was publicly posting everything, where to go. But eventually, I realized it got too big. Like, I started noticing we had small parking lots that were getting filled up. We would move to a bigger parking lot, and then those parking lots would work for a few weeks. And because of Instagram, the meets started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and people were coming from far away. So in the end, we were having a big parking lot that was still getting full twice a week. I would have the meets Wednesdays and Sundays, and the crowds were getting too big. And I was noticing that as we're going spot to spot, we had a bunch of people that were just driving stupidly. Like, in my head, I just knew, like, something's gonna go wrong one of these days. So once I realized it got too big, I stepped away and said, you know what, I'm done doing this, guys. It was fun, but I'm trying to avoid any legal trouble, because one day 1/8 is gonna lose control and kill someone. Like, as far as in the meets, like racing spot to spot, pretty much. And so I stepped away and I said, I'm not doing this no more. And then
somebody needed to step in, right?
Yeah, and that's when Valley Private stepped in.
As far as learning a lesson, I mean, I don't feel like there was a lesson for me to learn other than to be more cautious. As much as I hate the fact that I got caught, as for something as stupid as I got caught for, I feel like it taught me a very, very valuable lesson, and a lesson that I needed to learn. And it matured me more. So it matured me to a point where I needed to be, to exceed in this scene, to grow in this scene. I didn't look at it like, hey, let's meet up and just, have some fun and cause some chaos. Who cares about the repercussions? And now it's more like, strictly business. We need to get in, get out, do our thing.
I should stress out once again that this interview is 4 years old. So whatever's happening now is not what happened then. But it's interesting that 4 years ago, he's saying, I decided to change the way I was doing it. So, it says very clearly, he didn't learn a lesson in terms of like, okay, this is serious, this has consequences. How many people do you see like that they adapted differently, and how many people like they just quit? Because you were sort of middle of the way. You decided, okay, I'm gonna be a filmmaker now, but you still went around it. Some other people probably quit the scene and that's it. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I was still recording back then, but when I was running the meets, I wasn't really recording. It was two different things. I was recording just the private races, and the meets were it was chaotic to even record and run them at the same time. But as far as like him saying he didn't learn a lesson, he has to, what do you say? He has to be more cautious now. That's the lesson he learned.
A lot has changed from the way we used to do things, and I feel like most of it is by necessity. I mean, I would love to have 20, 30, 40 people there watching a race go down and seeing, it firsthand. But mainly due to law enforcement and also safety reasons, we decided that we got to be a lot more secretive in what we do and keep kind of spectators to a minimum. But at the same time, if you run into us and you stumble across a race, or you just figure it out on your own how to find it, how to get there, you're there. I mean, we're not going to do anything about it. We're not the cops. There's no rules of what we're doing.
I think there was 1% safety and 99% just doesn't want to get caught.
I mean, we don't want to come in contact with you guys, and we don't want you guys to come in contact with us when it comes to law enforcement. And I guess you could say that's a big difference in what LA is and the Valley is and how we handle things.
Well, there's also a difference in money. There's you guys are running for only for money.
Well, I mean, they do in LA as well. Like the guy, he's a dime a dozen. Like, you know what I mean? You don't find too many guys out here that won't race for money, I mean, you won't find too many guys in Southern California, let alone all of California, that won't race for money. That's just the way it is. That's why I always call it grudge racing. It could be however much money, but it's always going to be for money when it comes to grudge racing. You got to have a fast mouth and you got to have a fast brain when it comes to grudge racing. You got to stipulate it in a way where you have the advantage. It's all about the hustle. If you don't have a faster car and you know it, you got to have a fast mouth and you got to talk your way into making it so you do have a faster car. I mean, the way we do things in the Valley, I guess you could say, is we keep everything to a minimal. Whether we keep it the lowest amount of spectators, highest amount of dollars, and as quick as we can. We try to get in and out, and that's it. Zero contact with law enforcement. Whether or not LA does that or not, I'm not sure. But how I feel and how I see that the way they do things is, they don't care about law enforcement too much, and they don't necessarily care about betting or racing for money. Every time if they do race for a little bit, a couple dollars here and there, I feel like it's just for the sport of the bet. But I think they do it out there just more for fun. And when they come in contact with police, they're not as cautious as we are. And that's just the way I see it, whether it be true or not.
How much running from the police is a factor in races?
In a little bit he was talking about, it sounds like was he talking about like car meets or like takeovers? What started the conversation when
he was comparing the youngster meets to the private races in the Valley. And so my question is, I think that the cat and mouse element is pretty important in the car meets or the youngster meets, if you like. Whereas like in a single race, it's just only a disruption.
One thing he said in that little clip was he's trying to avoid or having very minimal contact with law enforcement. I mean, if we can get in and out without seeing a cop, that's a very good night.
Right. Whereas like as you saw from the images of my that I recorded at the youngster meets, they even throw firecrackers.
When the cops show up there, it's not the end of the night. It's more like let's just move to a different spot and the fun continues.
I mean, I never wanted to, like, every time that the police came, even in the Valley, there is always an element of me not wanting contact. But I can't deny that it is exciting. Also because I have nothing to fear. I mean, at the most, I'm going to get a ticket for spectating. But do you still find it fun? Is it a nuisance? What are your feelings when you see cops?
I mean, most of the people racing are my friends. So it's a shitty feeling, or it's a bad feeling because, oh, damn, they're about to get caught. And, sometimes they get a long ticket, or sometimes they get let go. But I mean, nonetheless, it's never a good interaction with police when they show up and while you're racing.
But do you think it's a case of if or when the police shows up?
It's a case of if, because sometimes they negotiate a race and you meet up at a different spot and you can get to the street, get the race done and get out, in under 5-10 minutes sometimes. So sometimes the cops never show up, or you never even see a cop the whole night. Someone who's not a part of it, there's no way to get the invitation. I mean, there's no way to find us because you don't know where they're at. I mean, there's 10 different spots to race at, and they're all pretty far apart now. So you're not gonna, unless you're gonna wait at each spot, but you better hope you get lucky and choose the right spot. But it's not really an ideal situation for you to try to find us.
So how to organize a race? Basically, I'll get a call from a certain person and they ask me if I could find them a race. So I kind of just go into my contact list and I'll find someone who I feel like is fair. And we just set it up from there. We set up a location. If the dollar amount wasn't already set up, we set it up at that location. And then once everything's negotiated, we head to the spot.
We have actually a video to play, and that's pertaining a race that happened where you and I did the first interview.
So on this particular night, Son from the IE was racing a GTR from the Valley. And it was stipulated that the GTR was going to get one car out and the go.
So that means one car length or truck length, whatever you're racing. So that means you usually line up at a line or at a set starting point. So the car that's giving the space starts at the regular line. Then the part that's receiving the space moves up the amount of lengths you're giving. So in this case, one. So that means the person getting the one is going to start one car length ahead of the other car. And then the go, one car is getting the go means he's going to go, and then you chase after him. So you get that little head start, which is like a little bit under half a second kind of thing.
So basically there is no flagger, there is no one flagging, right? It's just when somebody starts, or there is a flagger and it says like, okay, from now on you can move at your leisure.
There's not the flagger how it usually is, where it's, point ready, light, or point ready, hands drop. It's a little bit different, and each race that has the go will be a little bit different. But usually there's the car that's giving the go has to give some sort of signal that he's ready. So whether you can hear if the car is ready, like an Evo or a GTR, you can hear the launch control. Or if you have someone by your window that knows your car, that gives the other side, hey, a thumbs up, my guy's ready, you can leave whenever you want. And they usually like stipulate, once I say I'm ready, you got, no more than 3, 4, 5 seconds to leave. If not, I'm going to go, or if not, I'm going to stay here. And then if you go, you're going to have to come back and do it again. All right, so this clip starts off, it looks like a Glen Oaks Speedway, is what we called it. It's a street in the valley, I think the city's Sun Valley. And there's a Mustang doing a burnout at the starting line.
Yeah, cars definitely has to be octane, has to be fast, has to be loud.
There's a part where it's showing someone using a nitrous tank spraying the front of the GTR. Looks like he's spraying the intercooler.
Our scene's pretty much free of drugs and alcohol. I mean, and as weird it is to say that, everyone's mindset is all about the racing and the money. And we're strictly about our business. Like, no one's really there just to, cause trouble or, get messed up, get drunk, drive around. Like, we're not about that.
There's always been a perception about street racers, meaning we're in and out, and we vanish out of nowhere. And I guess that's what we try to stick to. So you always feel anxious when you come to a street race, because you just want to get the street race off as fast as you can and as safe as you can.
So it's showing Asan lining up with a black GTR, which was Mish from the Valley. They get ready, they signal over to the other side, they take off. Then Mish goes and wins by like about 2 car lengths.
Oh, that's GTR, baby! That's GTR, baby! Woo! Oh, yeah! Woo! Yeah, baby! Hey, fuck you and your Mustang burning out. Oh! Hey, go! Hey, go!
Then the cops show up and everyone scrambles and runs to their cars.
When both cars took off, it was a really good race. All the way to the finish line, the GTR barely won by maybe half a car. And so as soon as that race happened, cops pulled up. And so basically we went back to the original location that we met up at and we negotiated at. Once, a certain amount of time passed by and we realized that Usman wasn't coming back with his car, we decided we were gonna go look for him. When we found him tucked away in a little side street, kind of hidden away, and his car was broken. So, we approached him because we wanted to get our money and we wanted to get out of there before cops came. But when we came up to them, they basically said they weren't paying. And they said they weren't paying because the car broke. It doesn't matter where you are and what city you're from and what state you're racing in. The car's not considered broken if it takes off the line and makes a complete pass. It went by the rule, chase is a race. if he thought his car was broken, he shouldn't have taken off anyways. But he did take off, and he did lose. And in the end, he just didn't want to pay up. But, the situation started getting bad. Tow truck tried to come and pick his car up and take it back to the IE, but the crowd didn't let that happen. And basically, the driver had two options, which was pay his part of the money, or his car wasn't leaving the valley. So in the end, the driver did the smart move and calmed the situation down by paying what he owed. And both sides were happy with that little bit of money. So we decided just to call it a rematch for another day.
Yeah, that's why I tell people you got to be clear when you negotiate. Negotiate every possible scenario. That way there's a clear answer. Because if you don't negotiate it, you're leaving room for both sides to mess with you pretty much. And in this case, I don't know how it was negotiated, so I can't really give my full opinion about it. But if they didn't specify, break out the hole only, you don't pay, or the car breaks, I think his car, from what I remember, he said it broke like at the finish line.
Yes. Well, as you can see from the video at the finish line, he lost by, what do you say, 2 cars, Valley Private say half a car, let's call it 1 car length. Either or, it wasn't like he gave up before. Perhaps the car wasn't performing at its best, but it's impossible to call it. He didn't, if you brake, then you will definitely slow down. It doesn't look to me that he's slowing down. There is that side of not wanting to stipulate too many rules, so then you can backtrack according to what suits you best. So I feel like Valley Private many times doesn't want to stipulate the rules very clearly, so he can twist it also in his favor if things don't go his way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not, but yeah, I see how someone who doesn't make things clear can do that, and that's why I tell everyone make stuff clear from the beginning. That way, there's no question. That way, there's a clear line whether you lost or not based off the negotiations. Not, well, we didn't say that, but we meant this. That no, well, that's your interpretation, not my interpretation.
And you being a side better, so not negotiating a race, when you hear it that things are not clear, do you roll your eyes and go okay, I'm not gonna get paid tonight? Or
So for that race, I actually had money on Usun, and people were asking me like, hey, what do you think? I was like, you know what, I have money on Usun, don't ask me for my opinion, I'm stepping back and just watching. And now I do remember that, yeah, he ended up just paying his part, and there was somebody else holding the money who said, no, I don't agree with you, so I'm not paying the money up. So he said, okay, fine, give me my part that I put in, which I don't remember the exact amount, and he paid the other side his part, said, here's my money, I can't speak for everybody else. And they said, okay, you know what, that's fine, we'll settle with that and call it a night. And then after everyone left, they gave me my money back.
Well, Hassan car indeed did break. We didn't see that car for a good couple of years after that race. So sadly, a rematch was never on the card since Mish went back to Kuwait, and that was that.
The way we do things in the Valley is that we need a certain amount of people because we like doing it safe. We like doing it fair, and we like being sure. So we have someone at the finish line. We always need that finish line video. You have a flagger to initiate the race, whether it be with his hands or a light. You got your team or your crew to prep the road for you, and then you got everyone else looking out and taking video of their own. I mean, in street racing, you're always trying to get that advantage. I mean, it's all about money, so you're always trying to get that win no matter how you're going to take it. We'll take it however we get it. That street gambling is, as illegal as it is basically one of the main reasons for street racing.
Yeah, it's for me, it's all about that. I see people, it's all about money. So I've always said it's all about money, and they're gonna do everything they can to get paid. So whether you negotiate the race in your favor or try to, there's a million ways you can do to try to win it. It's at the end of the day, you're just trying to get paid.
So my question to you is, do you actually like cars?
Yeah, I like cars and I like gambling. So it's a double win.
But could it be something else instead of cars? And you will enjoy it just the same, or?
Like gambling on something else?
I wonder, like, which element is stronger for you, the gambling or the excitement of seeing two fast cars racing each other?
I think it's both, to be honest, because I can sit here and say, like, I can gamble on anything, to be like, sometimes in the park night, we just coin flip for money. And I've seen coin flips go up to like $1,000 sometimes, where I'll throw a coin in the air. Hey, Tiziano, call heads or tails. Sure, heads. Okay, you lost, pay me 500 or whatever the amount is. And then at the same time, there's races where I don't bet on and I still enjoy them. So for me, it's both. I love the gambling and I love the car racing. So it's having both of them together is just a bigger plus.
It's interesting because we are actually the opposite. Like, I don't care for gambling and I definitely don't care for street racing. I just enjoy. What I do enjoy is just a sense of camaraderie and everything that is around street racing. The street racing itself, for me, was always exciting to film it, but I always had this burning desire of being part of a negotiation and the arguments. But being the documentarian there, it meant that I was always like a silent figure. I would just roll my eyes when I knew that Valley Private was the negotiator, because I knew that it wasn't going to be an early night. That's all. It
will usually end up in a long night of arguing.
It's gambling. You're expected to be about your word, I mean, because in the end, that's all you got. Especially after you just lost your race and you broke your car, you got to be about your word, because think about it, like, not paying your debt, you're hurting a lot more in the end, because now your reputation's hurt. However many number of people just saw you lose and not want to pay. So this next person is not going to want to put up as much money when he races you, because then they're going to feel like, well, I mean, I'll put this money up if I lost. What about if you lose? You came back on your word, how many times now?
So I just wanted to ask you, like, about reputation. How important is it to be a man of your word for a racer and for a negotiator?
It's very important because, like he mentioned in that little part, was if you lose a race and you don't pay, or you come out and make a bunch of excuses trying not to pay, and then at the end of the night you don't pay, everyone just saw you do that. And usually it's followed up by a bunch of posts on social media saying, this guy did not pay, this and this happened, we negotiated this, and blah, 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 blah. A lot of things come with it. Now, the next time you try to negotiate a race, they'll bring up like, look, or people are going to think like, do I really want to race this guy? I just saw him lose last week and he didn't pay someone. Do I really want to race him? But over time, people get over it and they're back out there racing again. I mean, I've seen a lot of people not pay and they're still out there racing. But I feel like someone who were to do it multiple times, then they probably won't find races anymore.
How do you feel when somebody doesn't pay?
Most of the times when people don't pay, it's because there wasn't clear negotiations. I've never seen someone lose, where things were clear and not pay, because you really have no argument there. People that don't pay usually lose when there's a rule that wasn't specified fully. Like, there's usually, it's never someone losing fair and square that didn't pay. It's always someone who, well, we negotiated this, but we didn't specify exactly what we meant. So therefore, it leaves it up in the air to manipulate however I want it. So I meant this, you might have meant that, but I'm going off what I meant. And that's where the argument starts, because they both think they're right. And one wants to get paid and one wants not to pay, or get paid too, depends how, what the race is.
Do you think you like side bets more than betting like a team against a team, because you can control more your reputation, because, you can decide what's fair or not fair in paying? You personally?
Well, me personally, the way I do it now, for the last couple of years, it's, if I were to decide, let's say two cars are lining up and you're standing next to me when they lined up, I say, hey, Tiziano, you want to bet on this race? Yeah, sure. Who do you got? I'll say, well, I'll take, the car on the left lane, and you would get the car on the right. You say, okay, sure, $50. We shake hands, make the formal bet there. And what I like to say is we go off who gets paid. And what I mean by that is me and you are not going to argue about anything after the race. If there's any kind of controversy, we let them talk it out, and whoever gets paid is the winner. Now, I say that a lot in my videos on YouTube, and people always comment like, what the hell is he talking about? Obviously, whoever wins is going to get paid. Whoever gets paid is the winner. but it's because of times where people don't get paid that leaves it up in the air. So to me, the way I like to tell people when I negotiate with them for a side bet is just whoever gets paid is the winner. That's where I'm betting that side is going to get paid. You're betting that side is going to get paid. So if no one gets paid, me and you don't pay each other.
Okay, and this concludes today's episode. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. God, your enthusiasm is contagious.
I just, like, you asked a weird ass question. Like, did you enjoy it? Like, yes, I was getting a massage this whole time and it was great. I mean, we're talking about cars, talking about racing. Of course it's fun.
There you go. Well, some people may find it boring.
Well, if they're listening this far, then clearly they're not bored.
Okay, well, the night is wearing off, so it's almost morning. So good morning to you, Edward.
Good morning to you, Mr. Tiziana.